Good afternoon, and welcome to the DCTV News at Noon program.
The Southwest TV Translator Association underwrites the news, and Dolores County Broadcasting Network provides the support for DCTV.
The News at Noon program assembles the best and most interesting news from the area and content for its viewers, and provides local weather for the Four Corners region. What do you think? Give us a call with news tips or topics you'd like to see covered. The number is 677-4119.
I'm Kendra Cook, and my co-hosts are Kelsey Kiesling and Jerry Tope. On the longest day of the year, sun-wise, here's the news for June 20th, 2016. It will only get darker from now till December. As reported in the Cortez Journal, if you were wondering what happened last week with your phone service and internet connections, well, it was reported that construction crews on Broadway Avenue in Cortez mistakenly cut a Verizon fiber line, leading to phone service blackouts from Friday afternoon until about 7:15 Friday night. About 4 p.m. Friday, the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office posted an alert saying 911 service was down in Montezuma and Dolores counties as a result of the fiber line hit. By 5 p.m., emergency 911 calls were being routed through Montrose and back to city and county law enforcement officers. Though Verizon service and landlines were still down. Residents could make 911 calls with AT&T cellular service, but not through landlines or Verizon. The Cortez Police Department advised residents to call 749-8474 or the Colorado State Patrol at 249-4392 if they had an emergency. The outages also affected police dispatch in Durango. Cortez police said the contractor located the fiber line, but crews misjudged the depth of the line and cut it. Phones were also down at Southwest Memorial Hospital at 5 p.m. Friday, but the hospital was accepting patients, Marketing Director Haley Leonard said. Verizon initially attributed the outages to a problem with the cell tower.
According to the Cortez Journal, a wildfire that erupted Saturday afternoon in the Sagehen area of McPhee Reservoir was 80% contained on Sunday evening, according to a U.S. Forest Service official. Firefighters on Sunday mopped up hot spots and cut down brush the day after the 150-acre fire started. The fire started Saturday afternoon on a private grassy field near roads X and 25 at McPhee Reservoir, said Montezuma County Emergency Manager Paul Holler. Late Saturday, the fire was estimated at 150 acres, said Ann Bond, Public Affairs Specialist for the U.S. Forest Service. No immediate structures were in danger and no evacuations were in effect. About 45 firefighters were on the scene, according to the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. 3 single-engine air tankers and 1 helicopter assisted firefighters on the ground, and an air tanker from Grand Junction arrived Saturday night and made a couple of drops. Holler was optimistic Saturday that firefighters would be working on securing the area and mopping up on Sunday morning, in part because of the success that firefighters made Saturday from the ground and air. Responding agencies included the Cortez, Dolores, and Luis Arreola fire departments, the U.S. Forest Service, the Bureau of Land Management, and the Montezuma County Sheriff's Office. Durango Fire Protection and the Department of Homeland Security Office of Emergency Management Field Manager also responded.
Reported in the Durango Herald, the EPA confirmed last week that Steve Way, their on-scene coordinator for activities around the Gold King mine, has retired. Way spent 32 years working for the EPA, the last 2 in the area north of Silverton known as Gladstone, where the largest concentration of heavy metals discharged from inactive mines into Cement Creek, a tributary of the Animas River. However, on August 5th, Way was on vacation when an EPA contracted crew breached the loose pile of dirt and rock collapsed over the Gold King mine, releasing a massive mustard yellow-colored plume of heavy metal sludge. Regardless of his absence and clear orders not to touch the entrance of the mine, Way became the center of intense criticism. Colorado State Representative Don Coram, a Republican from Montrose, wrote to the Daily Sentinel of Grand Junction saying, "Mr. Way has had an exemplary career, having worked with the Washington, D.C. Anthrax Mitigation Project and the Hurricane Katrina and World Trade Center recovery efforts." In 2014, the EPA decided that metal-laden discharges from the Red and Bonita and the Gold King mines has gotten so bad it would begin a $1.5 million remediation project. The plan originally was to place a bulkhead on the Red and Modino mine, which at the time was pouring out 500 gallons of acid mine drainage per minute, accounting for about 18% of the heavy metals in the Animas River. Knowing that plugging the mine might have the same effect as the American Tunnel, Sunnyside Gold Corporation's bulkhead, which is considered the culprit for increased discharges out of Red and Bonita and Gold King, Way laid out a monitoring plan that would allow the agency to open and close the valve as needed. In late July 2015, crews began exploring the Level 7 adit of the adjacent Gold King mine, which was well documented for its potential of a blowout. Way, aware of this risk, postponed further work on the mine pending more preparation and study. But while he was on vacation, his replacement, Hayes Griswold, ordered crews to clear the dirt blocking the tunnel to install a pipe to divert the contaminated water. The contractors, St. Louis-based Environmental Restoration LLC, dug too far, causing the massive blowout on August 5th. The actions of that day remain a source of suspicious speculation. The EPA has claimed Griswold's orders were completely consistent with the direction set by Way prior to his leave, yet emails released after the spill clearly show Way said to not excavate the adit until a series of tasks were completed to prepare for its opening, tasks an investigation found Griswold did not complete. In a February report, the House Committee on Natural Resources flogged Griswold for veering from Way's instructions and said Griswold's post-spill testimony raised serious questions about nearly everything, about the EPA's work at the Gold King mine and the disaster caused by the EPA. EPA officials confirmed that Griswold still works for the EPA. Way's replacement is Joël Dieu, who will manage removal activities at the Gold King and Red and Bonita mines, while Kerry Guy will manage the interim water treatment plant at Gladstone.
According to the Durango Herald, the Los Alamos National Laboratory mishandled hazardous waste and should expect to face civil penalties, according to a violation notice issued by the state of New Mexico. The New Mexico Environmental Department found 12 violations during a June 2015 inspection, including open waste containers, failure to label containers as hazardous waste, not describing what was inside certain waste drums, and failure to properly package drums containing free liquids, the New Mexican reported. The report also noted that receptacles for newly generated waste were often too far from the place where the waste was generated. In addition, the lab had incomplete emergency contact sheets and didn't share its emergency plans with first responders. A failure to promptly correct the problem is also a violation of the lab's waste management permit, according to the violation notice. Lab managers were notified in the June 1st letter that further lapses could result in legal action or a fine of $10,000 per day. The Environment Department also said a civil penalty would be issued because of the lab's past history of noncompliance. A spokesman for the lab said Wednesday that the majority of potential violations identified in last year's inspection have already been addressed. According to the violation notice, the lab told the Environmental Department in March about the corrective actions, but some improvements still fell short. The Defense Nuclear Facility Safety Board, an independent federal oversight body, also inspected the lab earlier this year. It found that aging infrastructure at the lab's plutonium work site wouldn't protect the community if an earthquake occurred along the fault lines underneath there. After its November review of the site, the National Nuclear Security Administration told the lab in December that its contract will be put up for bid when it expires. The report also indicated that the lab had made several improvements and would receive the majority of an award for fiscal year 2016.
In the continuing Colorado State Senate Republican candidacy race, the Durango Herald looks at Republican U.S. Senate candidate John Kaiser. The 34-year-old former state representative from Morrison, who grew up in the Durango area, is a decorated combat veteran and an attorney. He has faced unflattering headlines, some of which were unexpected and seemingly out of his control. Kaiser's platform focuses heavily on foreign affairs and military policy. But his race for the nod to take on incumbent Democrat Michael Bennet turned sideways in April when the Secretary of State's office determined that the signatures he submitted to petition onto the June 28th primary ballot were insufficient. News reports later revealed that some signatures may have been forged, culminating with allegations that one of the signatures was that of a dead person. Prosecutors earlier this month charged the woman accused of forging the signatures. Kaiser said he didn't know about the alleged fraud. The petition petition gatherer was working for a firm hired by a political and public affairs company working for the campaign. But in the immediate days following the reports, Kaiser was quiet. Beyond the sensationalism, Kaiser also found himself fighting simply to make the ballot. After the Secretary of State's office deemed the petitions insufficient, Kaiser took the case to court, where he won, earning a spot on the ballot. But it wasn't over. A lawsuit in which the plaintiff's attorney was Mark Gruskin, a high-profile Denver lawyer who often represents Democrats, was filed to block his votes from being counted, pointing to the allegations of fraud. Kaiser won that case also, securing his place on the ballot with 4 other candidates. Some might have buckled under the pressure, but not Kaiser. He drew upon his military training, which earned him the Bronze Star and a combat veteran of the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, and kept fighting. Quote, "When you look at what Democrats have done, they've done everything they can to try to trip us up, to try and hurt my campaign. But the fact of the matter is, I'm the one who is going to beat Michael Bennet, and they know that," Kaiser said. Those who know him the best say they're not surprised by Kaiser's run. Retired Colonel Sean Sullivan, who was in charge of a team that Kaiser was a part of in Iraq in 2006, said John's well-balanced general character, coupled with his very quick and keen mind, seemingly limitless drive and energy, demonstrated good judgment, academic accomplishments, and upbringing in Colorado, caused me to be not surprised at his pursuit. Primary election day is June 28th. Tomorrow, we'll take a look at the final of the 5 candidates running.
According to the Durango Herald, U.S. Highway 160 between Elmore's Corner and Gem Village was closed for about 2 hours Thursday after a truck lost its brakes and crashed into 5 cars, according to the Colorado State Patrol. The crash occurred about 11 a.m. near milepost 97, where a construction crew is making road repairs, said Trooper Aaron Robertus. The semi-trailer was traveling east when the brakes failed, he said. The driver tried to avoid rear-ending cars or causing a head-on crash by splitting the center lane, meaning he drove up the middle of the highway and sideswiped 5 cars. Some people complained of sore muscles, but no one was taken to the hospital, Robertus said. He actually did a pretty good job of that, not causing injuries, the trooper said. The vehicles hit included a Subaru, Ford Expedition, Mazda 7, Nissan Maxima, and Ford Ranger. 3 of the 5 vehicles were stopped at the construction zone. The flatbed trailer was carrying a couple dozen large boulders. The driver, Stuart Yates of Mancos, was cited with operating a defective vehicle and careless driving, Robertus said. Traffic was rerouted on County Road 223 until the highway reopened. And now, here's our weather report.
Today is the official first day of summer, and it will feel like it. Today and tomorrow will be sunny and dry and somewhat more than warm in our Four Corners area. The valleys lower than those in our Dolores County area will reach triple-digit temperatures. Bluff and Moab, Grand Junction, Green River, and Hanksville are all varying from 102 to 106 degrees forecast for today. Some new first-day record highs may be set today and tomorrow. For the northwest Colorado, tomorrow, critical fire weather conditions will exist, and a fire weather watch will be in effect from noon to 8 p.m. tomorrow. It's a good idea to remember that the Four Corners region has relatively poor coverage for fire weather. There is no local radar and low population, so the weather supercomputers do not really pay attention to our local fire hazard levels. They should always be considered at least as dangerous as any in our region. Also, heat safety practices need to be observed under these conditions. So if you're on the job outdoors, stay hydrated, take breaks, and find the shade as often as possible. Indoors, check on the elderly and sick and those without air conditioning. In vehicles, never leave pets or children unattended, stay hydrated, and look before you lock. Outdoors, even if not working, limit strenuous activity and find shade and stay hydrated. Daytime humidity for the Dove Creek area is expected to drop from nighttime highs to around 6% for the daytime low. Curiously, it makes sense that beginning at around 10 a.m., as you watch the temperature climb, you simultaneously watch the humidity drop. Humidity drops at about 5 to 7 points per hour in these conditions during these midday hours. The weather patterns forecast last week for today and tomorrow are still on track, but the forecast for midweek has improved, if still quite small chances for moisture are mostly in the mountains occurs. Isolated showers and thunderstorms will crawl in under the high ridge beginning tomorrow night. And then daily for the afternoon and early evening hours, mainly over the mountains, you will at least see clouds with actual light rain falling. Remember, mostly in the mountains. At this time, no appreciable amounts are forecast. Showers and thunderstorms along and ahead of a frontal boundary over parts of the upper Great Lakes and the middle Mississippi Valley will reach from just off the northeast coast into the mid-Atlantic and westward to the Central Plains by tomorrow evening. Upper level energy moving onshore over the Pacific Northwest this evening will move inland to the northern high plains by tomorrow morning into Wednesday morning. So parts of the northern high plains and Pacific Northwest and central Rockies will see rain Tuesday morning, ending by Tuesday evening. Onshore flow off the western Gulf of Mexico and on the southeastern coast of Florida, along with daytime heating, will produce showers and thunderstorms over the central and western Gulf Coast and southern Florida through Wednesday. That daytime heating component will increase the coverage of the showers and thunderstorms to their largest extent in the afternoon and evening hours. High temps for the week are still all over the 90s, and lows will run at very close to 40 degrees less than the high of the day and be all over the 50s. That's a big difference as far as the human body is concerned, and to minimize the effects of heat and cooling changes on your body, please stay hydrated. Since above normal temperatures will continue for at least the next several days. These high temperatures will aggravate and accelerate the melting of the remaining high elevation snowpack, as releases from area dams and management of water diversions will likely add to that flow in most rivers and streams. The result is that waterways across the area will continue to run high and fast and cold during the coming week. Stay advised of the latest river forecast by visiting NOAA's area website at weather.gov/GJT. Our CO2 statistics for last week: 407.20 parts per million. Week before last, 406.86 parts per million. 1 year ago, 402.42 parts per million. 10 years ago, 384.30 parts per million. And now back to the news.
According to the Durango Herald, Colorado pot skeptics have been cleared to start work on the most sweeping effort yet to attack legalization of the drug. A ballot measure cleared for petitioning Thursday by the Colorado Supreme Court would set new potency and packaging limits on recreational marijuana. Under the proposal, packaging would have to include warnings that marijuana carries a risk of permanent loss of brain abilities. The measure also includes a new potency limit, meaning that popular forms of marijuana such as vape pens and some edibles would be illegal. Supporters of the measure say that most marijuana sold today is too strong and that current warning labels are inadequate. The pot skeptics tried and failed earlier this week to get state lawmakers to limit potency. Lawmakers were sympathetic but resisted the change because the state constitution expressly permits all forms of marijuana. The industry compared the change to regulating the strength of alcohol. The marijuana critics have proposed changing the Constitution to allow potency limits. Backed by legalization opponents, including former State House Speaker Frank McNulty, the measure also states that pot businesses can't get out of the changes by arguing they are impractical. Marijuana industry attorneys say the measure would ban 80% of marijuana products sold today. Proponents of the measure did not immediately respond to requests for interviews. The court's ruling clears supporters to start collecting about 98,000 signatures to put the question on the ballot. Signatures are due August 8th. If the petition is successful, Amendment 139 would be the most significant attempt to roll back access to marijuana in any of the 4 states and District of Columbia that have legalized recreational pot.
Reported in the Durango Herald, another cluster of campgrounds in the San Juan National Forest faces a ban on overnight camping because a handful of individuals have taken up residence there and trashed the place. District Ranger Matt Janowiak said it's gotten worse the last couple of years. The areas at risk of closure are 3 dispersed, free and undeveloped camping areas about 8 miles into La Plata Canyon west of Durango, La Plata City, Madden Creek, and Miners Cabin. Forest Service officials say homeless people routinely violate the 14-day limit for stays and leave mounds of trash. Recreation Program Manager Brian White said the issue, along with budget cuts, has caused the district to reconsider how those sites are managed. This is becoming a public nuisance, White said. They are American citizens looking for a place to stay because they can't find one in Durango, but we have federal regulations in place that say you can't live on public land. The possible closure in La Plata Canyon is the latest in a string of campsites that now prohibit overnight stays because of transients overtaking an area in the forest. The transient population in La Plata Canyon is varied and complex. Forest Service officials agreed, and homeless people have been illegally living in the area for years. A few people have jobs and are trying to secure housing in Durango. Others are living for free on federal land by choice, and some camp and then panhandle in Durango. Squatting is a violation of federal law, which allows campers to stay at one site for 2 weeks and then requires them to move at least 2 miles away. Citations start at $250 and can increase for repeat offenders. La Plata County Sheriff's Office Officer Lieutenant Ed Aber, who has taken the lead on resolving conflicts with the homeless camp near the Durango Tech Center, said the department is aware of the issues in La Plata Canyon. It's on our agenda for this year to do some education and enforcement up there, Aber said. It's important to teach them how to be better stewards of the land and not draw attention to themselves. Durango is not unique. A January 2016 study by the U.S. Forest Service found the Rocky Mountain region is experiencing the biggest increase in non-recreational long-term camping compared with other regions in the National Forest System, spokesman Lawrence Lujan said. Our focus at this time is making sure people understand what's acceptable so that all forest visitors are being good stewards of the land.
According to the Durango Herald, a Durango native known for his many acts of goodwill, including repairing the courthouse clock, will be remembered at a service Saturday. Anthony Tony Ferdinando, 94, died April 7, 2016 at Vista Mesa Assisted Living in Cortez, and his service will be at 3:30 p.m. at Greenmont Cemetery. His 2 daughters, Antonia Tony Hankins and Shirley Ann Motes, and his son Gary Ferdinando survive him. Ferdinando was born in 1922 and attended Thompson School, a 1-room schoolhouse that was on the Florida Mesa south of town. He was drafted into the U.S. Army Air Forces shortly after marrying Irene Waddell, his wife of 61 years, in January 1944. He flew 35 missions as a tail gunner in the 392nd Bomb Group on a B-24 Liberator during World War II. After being discharged from the military, Ferdinando worked a variety of jobs in La Plata County, including serving 14 years as a deputy sheriff, 20 years as the supervisor of equipment management at Fort Lewis College, and for 22 years taught the Junior Rifle Club through the Veterans of Foreign Wars Post number 4031. He was a gunner in World War II, and he took that experience to teach children to be safe with guns, Hankins said. Ferdinando was very devoted to Durango, she said. His civic actions included campaigning for the establishment of Perrins Peak Wildlife Area and Bodo Wildlife Area, where Lake Nighthorse is now, and repairing the La Plata County Courthouse clock in 1988 free of charge. Ferdinando was preceded in death by brothers William and Herman and his wife. His service will include a graveside memorial and will be attended by the Veteran Honor Guard from Durango's VFW, Hankins said.
From Ballantine Communications Journal and Durango Herald, as you may be aware, today's the longest day of sunshine is called the summer solstice in our part of the world. Around the area, it is being celebrated in some unique ways. Mesa Verde National Park will offer a backcountry sunrise tour of the Balcony House site to highlight the archaeoastronomy features of the ancestral Puebloan dwelling. This, according to Jeff Brown, interpreter at the national park. This backcountry tour lasted an hour and a half this morning, with an additional tour being offered Tuesday. The tours will be unique because the group will include 2 videographers from the National Park Service who will film the event. Depending on how the footage turns out, we will be able to bring this celebration and this great event to the public's enjoyment through Facebook and YouTube, they said. Astrological events such as the summer solstice were of great importance to the ancient inhabitants of the Southwest, Brown said. The importance of these astrological events within Mesa Verde are definitely tied and woven into the culture of the Native Americans. The summer solstice specifically is connected with cultural rituals that were believed to call for warmer weather to aid in the growing of crops, according to modern descendants of the ancestral Pueblans, and possibly more that we do not yet know. In addition to these tours, Mesa Verde will offer 2 tours in September to celebrate the autumnal equinox and 1 in October to mark the close of the season. Tickets are required for the tours. Also, Center for Southwest Studies at Fort Lewis College opened to the public at 6 a.m. Monday to watch the image cast by a solar window designed by Denver artist Scott Parsons. This window, which was created through the Colorado Art in Public Places program, is designed to capture the sun rays during the solstice and the days surrounding it and cast a spiral image that progresses down the wall as the sun rises. Tisdale said it's designed in a spiral, which is very significant to the kinds of rock art you see in this area. This window provides an opportunity to recognize the importance of the solstice to Native American communities, she said. When Scott Parsons designed this window, it really was in tribute to the solstice markers of the ancestral Pueblans of the southwestern Colorado. So in today's High Country happenings, Tuesday, June 21st, award-winning magician Eli returns to the Cortez Public Library at 2 p.m., 202 North Park Street for all ages. At 3 p.m., Eli holds a workshop limited to 30 kids ages 8 to 13. Pre-registration is recommended. For details, call 565-8117. This coming Saturday, June 25th, is the second of the Dolores County Junior Rodeo Series at the Dolores County Fairgrounds, Dove Creek. Check in at 8:30 a.m. The rodeo begins at 9. For details, visit the Dolores County Junior Rodeo page on Facebook. And for the kiddos, the Dove Creek Recreation Department starts registration today for T-Ball, beginning July 12th through August 4th. Every Tuesday and Thursday evening, it will start at 6:30 p.m., ages 4 to 6. No cost thanks to a donation from community banks. For more details, call 739-8874 for Christy or go online to dovecreekrec.com. And in my end note, there were some lingering questions last Friday on how cutting the Verizon trunk line took out all models of cell phones, internet connections throughout the area, as well as landlines. It was truly a moment to take pause of how one needs to operate if such a disruption were to last more than just a few hours. The banks couldn't process cash, and commercial businesses couldn't process cards, not to mention people trying to stay in touch with one another. Hopefully, since the line was cut and fixed quickly, we are comforted that that was all that was going on, but with so many forms of communications these days, we may not know what's happening until after the fact. So here's a bit of info you probably haven't heard about from the FAA, a flight advisory for GPS interference testing. It starts off saying the GPS testing is scheduled as follows and may result in unreliable or unavailable GPS signal. As reported on ZeroHedge.com, U.S. military will be testing a device or devices that will potentially jam GPS signals for 6 hours each day. The dates and times of potential GPS outages per the FAA site were June 7th and 9th, and the upcoming June 21st, 23rd, 28th, and 30th, all from 1630 to 2230 OZ. The testing will be centered on China Lake in California, home to the Navy's 1.1 million acre Naval Air Weapons Center in the Mojave Desert. The potentially lost signals will stretch hundreds of miles in each direction and will affect various types of GPS, reaching the furthest at higher altitudes. But the jamming is said to only affect aircraft above 50 feet. Jamming will hit the Four Corners at 10,000 feet above sea level and with the greatest range according to the CHLK 1608 graphic map at 40,000 feet. It's anyone's guess as to the purpose of this testing, the military isn't saying, and there are lots of theories out there. Hopefully they will accomplish their goals without accident. IMHO, the reliance on technology, has perhaps swung too far to dependence these days, so don't throw out your metal compass and paper maps just yet. All of the happenings segment is posted on our DCTV News at Noon Facebook page. If you have an event, you can email us at dcbnnews@gmail.com or call the station at 677-4119 and we'll be sure to get it on air.
Thanks for tuning in. This program is aired live at noon Monday through Wednesday and rebroadcast at 2:30 and 8 p.m. on Channel 32.1 Dolores County, on Channel 30.4 in Montezuma County, and their cable Channel 5.
Tell a friend and watch the broadcast replayed on YouTube. Search DCTV News at Noon, and please like us on Facebook and follow us on Twitter.
For Kendra Cook, Jerry Tope, and all those who are working to bring you DCTV and the News at Noon program from Dove Creek, USA, I'm Kelsey Kiesling. See you next time.